Today we're talking about established churches versus church planters and what we can learn from each of them. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast. Focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Well, howdy. This is Mike Holmes here at the Better Sundays podcast, and we're excited to have you on board. We're kind of covering this idea of the difference between a church planter and a established church. And of course, they both have their, similarities and they both have their differences. I want to keep this short and simple and just focus on two little points that I think are going to be helpful, that no matter if you are an established church or you're a church planter, if you have these two, they're going to be a big help to you. Who works harder in a church? Is it the church planter or is it the established person? Well, the established person has a lot of different things already on their plate, and so it seems that sometimes they work. They get a lot of calls and a lot of phone calls, a lot of activity, a lot of different things, and sometimes established or church planters are not really got all that contact stuff, but yet they've got a lot of hard work too. So I think really it's a tie. They both work just as hard. As far as sincerity, absolutely, I think they're both just as sincere as could be. There's no doubt about that. The idea here, though, that I want to share with you that I really learned as I work with a lot of church planters, and I work with do a lot of coaching for established churches as well. But there's a couple things that church planters have and if you're a church planter, you need to have this if you don't have it. And if you are an established church, this is something that you really kind of need to grab hold of. A church planter has more of and I don't want to even say this word out loud on a podcast because in church lingo, this is a bad word. It's the M word. Church planters have more of a marketing mentality. They are interested in getting people in the door, and that, in many cases, is a good thing. I work with a lot of established churches that, run 20, 30, or 40 people, and they've been at that same number for years. And they need some new blood in there because some of the people are getting older, and they need to have a better marketing mentality. And if you don't like the word marketing, and I get a lot of pushback when we talk about marketing because people are like, oh, you're turning the church corporate and business-like and all that. Call it promotion. That's probably a simpler word, or call it, evangelism, or, whatever you want to call it. But it's the idea of those folks out there need to know about us in here. In other words, there's people over yonder everywhere outside these four walls that need to know about our church. And a church planter usually wins the race in this regard. They have the better marketing mentality. They're thinking about, what can I print and get out there? What can I get in the mail and get out there? How can I put some posters up somewhere? What can I get on social media? How often can I post some things? Can I text people? Can I use QR codes? Can I use my smartphone? Can I do stuff? And that question is mulling around inside there, where many times an established church, there's a lot of things mulling around inside your head too, Pastor. You're working hard, and I don't doubt your sincerity at any level, but you're working really hard on some things that don't necessarily get people in the door. In other words, you're taking care of some established processes and programs already and all the people that you have. And you got to do that. And if that's your heart, pastor's heart, go for it. But there is one thing that we can learn from a church planter, and that is to be hungry for people, fresh people in the door, reaching new people. I mean, you're still going to pray as much, gospel just as clear, Bible, music, all that, both sides, established and church planters, going to have a tie in that regard. But the hunger for bringing people in the door is something that we can learn, and there is a difference. So that's one of the differences. The second one that is really kind of interesting, and you notice this in a church planter, and you notice this with an established church, this difference, and it's kind of what I call relational discovery. In an established church, okay, for example, I was just in church a few weeks ago, and I have been in that church since for 40 years, since the 1980s. I pretty much know everybody in the church. I know the history of everybody in the church. Catch up with them. We're friends, and ho-hum, how you doing, and some of that kind of stuff. Okay, but I don't have what's called the discovery mentality. I don't have a relational discovery mentality. And that comes with a church planter because they're meeting people for the first time. And it's good to have you here. And nice to, and are you from the area? Did you grow up here? Oh, are these your children? Oh, very nice to meet you. And what's your name? What's your name? When you have the discovery thing going on, it creates a freshness in your church. Now, if you're an established church, you can do all that. But it doesn't come naturally. You have to work it. You have to ask questions all the time. Before the service, you need to have everything done so that you can meet with people and talk with them. Afterwards, you want to try to hang around as long as possible and do the discovery thing. In established churches, here's what goes on. After church, everybody goes out to lunch somewhere on a Sunday morning. They have kind of their favorite place. Boy, if we get out here just in time, we'll miss the rush, and that type of thing. That's an established thing. A new church or a church plant, in fact, when we started our church, we didn't allow any of our, allow is not quite the right word, but we had some staff people, some of our key people, Sunday school teachers. We didn't want any of them to be going out to lunch at different places. We wanted them to hang around and do discovery stuff. In other words, talk as long as possible with new people and find out new things about them and learn where they're from and, all that. And as you start to do that, that's something that's a freshness that a church planter has that most established churches don't have it as much, or you have to work a lot harder at it. So what is the difference between the two? I would say it's the marketing mentality, and it is this discovery relational mentality that is there, that exists more in a church plant than it does in an established church. And you can take those two things if you're an established church, and you can work on those and work with your staff, teach them how to ask questions, find out things, have them hang around longer, that type of stuff. If you need more in the marketing mentality stuff, man, the field is white unto harvest. There are so many places you can reach out and find new people and different things you can do. In fact, you can hang out here at reachkeep.com. You can join our academy, get involved. We can help you with those kind of things. And I do a lot of coaching with our clients and help them to kind of go through the marketing in their particular community and figure out what works and what doesn't. So if this is helpful for you, I appreciate you hanging on and listening this long. If this is helpful, I appreciate if you'd give us a thumbs up, or if you'd hit the share button there, or subscribe if you're not a subscriber here on our YouTube channel or on our podcast channels, however you're watching or listening to this. So make sure that you grab hold of these two things, the relational discovery thing, and then that whole idea of just kind of marketing and reaching out and getting new people, and get yourself hungry like a church planter. So anyway, thanks for being with us today. Again, thumbs up or share or subscribe. Appreciate that much. This is Mike here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com.